when an individual has an outer body experience, can you go through the exact step-by-step sequence of what exactly happened?
When you see your physical body on the bed, you look out the body as an object, but not you itself. Once you leave, everything that you think is real here, you realize is not real at all. This is the illusion. The moment that you leave the body, there is no limitations placed on you. The kingdoms of heaven, the doors of this entire universe construct open up to you. The reason why the sun shines is because of you. Within this physical known construct that we're in, I have identified through my experiences 12 different realms or heavens. I promise you guys, once you die and you leave this place, you will see that there are infinite amounts of different creations all within the infinite beyond. And it never stops because we, the soul, we never stop.
Do you think it's possible to access information when you're out of your body and then somehow utilize that when you come back onto Earth?
I have personally targeted certain individuals that I work with where I would leave my body and actually go to them and see what they're doing in real time. I'm going to call them up, is this what you're doing? And they would say yes. You do not need to die to access the truth of yourself or access the other side. People desire to come back here because this place is coming to its completion.
Before we start this podcast, I just want to make one humble request. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to this channel and press the notifications bell icon. This really helps us bring more guests to the show and have the platform to spread wisdom. Thank you and enjoy the podcast. Darius, thank you once again for joining us on Under the Tree. It's been almost 1 year now, and I'm really glad to see your work doing so well. I've been following you as well. So is my mom, and I'm really grateful for all the work you're doing. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it, and I appreciate that you're following the work. It's spreading to the people that it needs to, you know. So that's important to me because that's the whole reason why I'm doing this anyway. So I'm just glad to hear that. Yeah.
So in this episode, what I want to do is really walk through the mechanics of how consciousness actually steps out of the body. And I know last time in our episode, we covered a lot of the foundation of what you're teaching and what outer body experience actually means, but I want to go into some more details in this conversation. So my first question, Darius, is that when an individual has an outer body experience and they leave their body, can you go through the exact step-by-step sequence of what exactly happened? So when does that internal shift happen, or are there sensations that guide that? And then is there a separation that happens between the physical body and the soul or consciousness? Can you guide us on that sequence?
Yeah, so the moment of separation from the physical body, it's one thing that you realize first and foremost is that you exist beyond the body, and so we have a strong perception and belief in this thing, this physical body, that it's a fear narrative of ever losing it, because the fear of loss of this physical body is somehow programmed into us, that it's fear of loss of ourself or our individuality, who we are. So we're afraid if the body dies and we lose our personality, we lose ourself, we lose everything about who makes us who we are, and that is where the fear stems from, related to this. But the moment you make the separation from the body, you instantly realize that your personality, everything that is you, is actually not the body itself. It's not even the brain. It has nothing to do with that, but it's actually the soul that is within the physical body. And when you step out of the body, you recognize that instantly. And when you see your physical body on the bed, you look out the body as an object, as an it, or that's my vehicle. but not you itself. And that realization is the greatest realization that anybody could have here, because the moment that you realize that, then it gets rid of all fear-based things of death, of this physical body. You begin to realize, when you separate there as well, you will begin to see not only the physical reality that we live in right now. So you would be able to, you're going to be able to see everything from your bed, your house, and everything's going to be the same. You'll be able to see people walking around in real life that are walking around, and perceive them and see them and know exactly what they're doing in real time. But yet they won't be able to see you, just because their physical body, their brain, is only decoding a certain percent of the light spectrum, let's say 1% of it. And the soul accesses 100% of that known frequency band and light spectrum. So you're not only seeing the physical reality, but you're also seeing everything that has ever existed, everything that is. You're talking about thoughts, potentiality at times, beings that we can't even see right now that have always been here. So you could say, when people even talk about New Earth, it's actually the great revealing of that which was always present in there. And you're seeing those things, you're accessing those things. You're able to step beyond all limitations of the physical body. You're able to step beyond all perceived limitations that we believe that we have, because the soul itself is the infinite. And the infinite cannot be defined, measured. And once you realize that the soul is the infinite, then you have access to access all information of the other side, where you come from, your origin, and seeing even passed away relative loved ones and people on the other side that you may not even remember now, but you have always known them, you know? So the process is essentially, you're going to be seeing those things, and it's very startling at first when you see these things, because it's funny, because once you come out, it's startling, because you think, oh my God, I'm dead. Like that's the thought that runs through your head, because your personality doesn't change, and you're like, oh my God, I'm dead. I just died. But you're thinking that way because the personality doesn't change, and you realize, wait a second, if I'm not dead because I'm thinking the same way, wow, I exist beyond. I am the infinite. I am what they say, God, and we are all God, walking here in the physical body underneath the illusion that we're not that. Does that answer your question?
It definitely answers it, and thank you so much for sharing that. Just because it brings me back to, I remember in our last conversation last year, you had mentioned that you actually don't read, or you can't read properly the way that we all can. And the fact is that everything that you're actually mentioning right now, from an experiential level, which you've experienced and you're making other people experience as a fact, that we are divine, our true nature is that of divinity, of God, but we are in the illusion that we are these limited body minds, is actually written in a lot of these ancient scriptures that I've been studying for the past 1 year. And everything matches with whatever you just said and whatever the experiential truth is. So that connection right there makes me believe even more that, of course, it is a truth both experientially and in the aspect of knowledge.
I think that's important for people to realize, is no, I can't necessarily read. A lot of the things that people read when I write certain things, or if I write posts, sometimes I like to write pages of information. That's actually me speaking through the computer to have it translate into text for me, and then I have to have things read back to me. And you know, it's experiential knowledge is I think, well, it's not, I don't think, I know when people listen to what I'm saying, there's a difference, because it's not coming from the things that I've read, or what people may think that me reading something, but it's coming from the experiential knowledge, and that experiential knowledge is just me sharing it as is. I have nothing to hide related to that. It's just me. This is what I've seen. This is what it is. And it's actually been a great thing to watch. It's been a great thing to watch that people that follow certain principles of that which I'm talking about, and they do it and they see the same thing. Testimonies, I'm up to 86 now, and they continue to come through. And that's not in a way of bloating myself or any of that, but it's a way to show people that this is not limited to me or because I'm special or anything, but every single person has this ability to see these things. We are all from the all of everything. We all inherently know this. We know that we are from the all and the source of all things. So if that is a knowing within you, then that automatically states to you and should be reflected to you. Well, if you are the all knowing of everything, that means that you already know everything. And so individuals that will say to you, you cannot possibly know everything. Well, I say to them, are you not the all and connected to the all of everything? The all of everything and the all knowledge of everything lives within you. And it just so happens, once you focus on yourself and go within to your soul, who you are, understanding the beginning of you, then you leave your body and you access all this information. And even if you don't leave the body, all the information is still there within you. The only thing that blocks it is when we start doing too much of the mental gymnastics and using too much of the mind and logic of trying to understand things. Because the source of you is not trying anything. The source of your soul does not try, because the moment you try is the moment you become not it. So the I am, the moment the I am says I am this and I am that, it is I am not. Because the I am, which is you, the soul, is always in a state of just being. And being doesn't try, it just is, yet it's affected by none of it, and yet controls all of it. It's not bound by anything. The greatest example I could give you too is like love. Love. When you say to someone, I'm trying to love you, that's what love is not. Love does not try to love. Love just loves. In the very pursuit of trying or following a path of love is actually you walking further away from it. Because love in and of itself, the other side of all source of the beginning of all things, when you return to that and you see that on the other side, is not going to say, I try to love you. It is just going to love you because it never stopped loving you or everything. Love is just in a state of constant being. And because it's being, and it just is, without trying or trying to figure it out, it is all things, love all things, but it's bound to none of those things because it is the infinite.
So what I want to know is that when the physical body separates and during that outer body experience, and then you're able to see your body as an object from the point of view of the soul or consciousness. Does that happen right away? Is it like an immediate snap that happens, or is that transition gradual?
Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, the moment that you leave, the first separation, it's instant. There's it's just an instant knowing. I have no other way to really try to articulate it other than it's just without a shadow of a doubt that the body is not you, and that the true you was what was this source of all things, the soul, the whole time, and that nothing is ever lost ever. So sometimes you just have to experience it, because I could use all these words. I could explain it in the most detail, but it's the moment you leave, the moment you see, you remember you again, and you see the physical body, it is just instant. It's instant. It changes everything within you. I mean, think about it. The reason why I'm doing this the way that I'm doing it is because of these experiences. It's because of this. You know, it's changed everything into that direction to get people on the pursuit to realize truth and love, pretty much. I hope that answers it. If it doesn't, let me know.
Yeah, it does. You clarified that that first instant when the separation happens, that is a snap, and then you just know it. And yeah, because actually about a couple months ago, my mom, she practices a lot of meditation for many years, and she actually did have this experience of an OBE. And I remember when she had it, when I was witnessing it, I mean, she was just for hours, she was just sitting there in meditation, and she had lost track of space and time. And when she came out from that experience, she was, I mean, she just couldn't believe it, and she didn't want to come out from there because it was such a beautiful experience that she basically didn't feel that she was this body mind complex. She knew that she was consciousness, and she was able to get in touch with her true nature as the divine. And she still talks about it to this date. And like you mentioned, it's really hard to explain in words, but only when you experience it can you actually know that it is the truth, and there's no doubting it afterwards. Um, I want to ask you, Darius, that we have this outer body experience, but during that time, so when you're not in the physical body, what does that consciousness look like or feel like? So I understand that we probably feel very light because you're not in that physical body. So is it formless, or are you unable to see that essentially?
Yeah. All right. This goes against everything that people think about this. Yeah. Um, they or believe they feel somehow that once they leave and they access their home, yeah, because you were before you came here, you were there, and so when we're here, we think that this is very physical. This body's very physical. This reality is very physical. Everything around me that I touch is very physical. But my question to people listening to this, if you think that this body is physical, yet you are only accessing 1% of the known frequency band and light spectrum, and then when you come out of your body and you are in your soul again and you access 100% of the known frequency and the light spectrum, this is why you'll have every out of body person that leaves their body to near death experiencer when they see different color or sound that they've never heard before that they can't explain. Would you say that the 1% is more physical or the 100% is more physical? You see, once you leave, you are quite literally, like I said before, the infinite, and everything that you think is real here, you realize is not real at all. In terms of this is the illusion. The soul is more real, more tactile, more physical, more everything than what you will ever experience here within your physical body. When I seen my one of my relatives that or family members that has passed away, and I hugged them, that touch, that contact was more physical than me touching anybody here. So the and this goes into a fear narrative where people still think they lose they lose the pleasures of physicality. But the moment you leave the body, it's all the pleasures of physicality with no limitations, and that's the infinite.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. What people I know, they tell me their biggest fear is losing their individuality. So what I am as Amira or what you are as Darius, in the infinite level. If that goes away, people don't want that to happen. So thank you for clarifying that's not the case. In fact, it remains, but it's infinite. There's no limitation there of just this body mind complex. Um, so does intention or emotion during an outer body experience have anything to do with where we go during that experience or how we perceive things? Like, for example, you mentioned that if when you hug a family member of yours who has left their physical body or is no more, so when each of us have an outer body experience, are we able to guide that or steer that movement in any way based on our subconscious desires or emotions or intentions?
Yeah. Yeah, you are. We all are. This is where it comes into. So the moment that you leave the body, you literally, there is no limitations placed on you. You could say the kingdoms of heaven, the doors of this entire universe construct open up to you. The only limitations of that which you could do and access is the limitations that you place on yourself. So for instance, if you believe that you can be entrapped or imprisoned, or you believe that you can be stopped, or you believe that you cannot access this, then you put yourself in those self-imposed prisons once you leave the body, because there's not one thing in all of creation that could ever stop you, the divine, the divinity, the beginning of all things, the infinite, from accessing whatever it is that you want. And it all comes down with the intention to do so. You see, even physically now, we have what is called, people call the light body within us. So, and you could say we have a small portion of the light body within us, because the more you bring your soul and your consciousness in, the more you bring that into the physical body. We are literally the creators of all light around us and everything. The reason why the sun shines is because of you. The reason why there is light, this light that we see in everything that we're looking at, the reason why there's light is because of you. You are the source of light, and you bring light and life to everything. Quite literally everything. Without you, without your energy, your spark, your soul, your will, there would be no light in anything. So whatever it is, when you leave this physical vessel, if you command it to be so, therefore it is so. If you have the intention to access something, therefore you will see those things. Because again, you are all of it. You are the source. And to say that you can't do that would be me saying that you are not the source itself, but you are. You know, and the source is not limited in that way. But yeah, and I like what you brought up before, the body mind complex. This is an important thing as well. You know, we do have, you could say, three layers of you could say of this, which is the soul, body, spirit. Yeah. So the soul is the infinite. It is the untouchable. It is the thing that it is you. It is who we are. Then through the soul, you could say the physical body is born, and therefore, you know, the physical body is only born from the soul, its will. And then you have the spirit within the body, which is thought forms, your mind, your what you think, your memories. And so a lot of people are stuck inside of the physical body, mind complex, spirit complex, not realizing that, you know, that is not the infinite of you, that the infinite of you is your soul. And if you tap into that, then you will remember all of these things and access all of your memories again, pretty much. Yeah. And this is where fear derives from, because people are so focused on the physical body, the mind construct, that there's, it's pretty much, I mean, the physical body is all things that which you are not, you could say. It gives you the illusion of pain. It gives you the illusion of entrapment, you know. And if you self-identify with that, and that this is all there is to you, then fear is inevitable to be born within you, you know. It's a sort of
Right.
impossible not to be born.
Yeah, whenever I have a friend or a family member, sometimes if they're going through some type of trauma or loss and they tell me that I'm suffering, my first response to them, obviously in a caring way, is that you're not really suffering because your true nature does cannot suffer. But your identification to your mind, like your memories, your thoughts, your reactions, that's what that identification is what is creating that illusion and actually making you suffer. So that identification is what needs to loosen, right? That again, we are the body, we are the mind, we are our thoughts and memories and our limitations, and that's what causes that fear and that suffering. Before I move on to my next question, there was something that came up, and I want to ask you that. Do you think that is there only one consciousness that is manifesting as all of these beings, whatever the population is of humans, animals, or are there different consciousnesses? So there's 8 billion consciousnesses of humans or whatever animals are. Or again, is there one that's just manifesting as all these? Because that's the question that I get asked a lot as well.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so it's a okay. Let's just go. I'll give you two examples here. So the source of all things. So the source of all things is more of like an information field of all things. No different from the internet. So you have a computer, you log onto you go on the internet. That's the internet is the source of all things. So it has all access to every information of all things of what we, the individual person, put into the internet through our thoughts and what we've experienced, and we sort of put it into the internet in the field of all things. That's the source of all things. And so we are the source of all things, but we are still our own individual source of light of all things itself. That put in information to the source of everything. And so we never really merge in the way of losing ourselves. And in the question that you really asked me, is there one source or is there, let's just say, billions of sources? And the answer is that there's billions of sources that give information to the internet and the field of all things. Yeah. And that's yeah, that's the answer to that.
Okay, that clarifies the confusion I had. You've also talked a lot about multiple dimensions. Um, so can you map this out? Because what I'm visualizing is that when we have an outer body experience and you're basically in a realm that's not Earth, right? So are there different layers of these dimensions or realms? And do they differ? And is there any way to recognize exactly which dimension you're in if there are multiple?
So within here, within this physical known construct that we're in, and for scientific terms is this known universe. So right now they're trying to measure, what's outside of this universe. So outside of this, this whole universe is one construct. On the other side, it's one creation. And within here, I have identified through my experiences a total of 12 different creations here, 12 different dimensions, what people would say, or 12 different realms or heavens. So all different wording for the exact same thing. And so I've seen this, and I'm like, okay, so all of these different layers of creation within this known universe are all separated by slightly different frequency bands. And this is why, to give you an example, we go back into, you have it all through history, from the texts to Egypt, to even in India, where they even show the different layers of creation itself too. And being shown this, and then seeing that this was already there as well. I'm like, oh wow, like this is, I'm seeing the whole layers of this whole thing. But even in the past, there has been certain beings and entities from these higher planes planes of existence coming down into the physical, you could say with their full divinity of light. And you'll see this all throughout the history, how some beings have come down and they're more luminous. They hold more light. They seem more godlike. Not that they're better than us. They are just within a different frequency band that is not of the physical flesh, this carbon meat suit that we have. But it was more in those, let's just say, higher planes of reality. There is less distortions within the vehicle that they use, because they're able to maintain more of the, you could say, the light within them, and that light within them actually decodes all of their cells within their physical body to be more in essence what the soul is in the physical body. So that's what I've mapped out. I've mapped out a total of 12 different creations within here. And when you step out of this known construct, this universe, then there is a infinite amount of different creations, different universes, all outside of here, and they're all manifested from us, the soul. Us are the infinite, individual, infinite soul sources deciding, I want to put my will in my spoken word. I want to experience this, and because you've said it, because of who you are, then it manifests to be so. For you to walk into the great infinite beyond and experience whatever it is that you desire and want, whatever it is. And this is the greatest freedom too. Is you don't have to believe me, and people don't have to believe me, and that's fine. But I promise you guys, once you die and you leave this place, you're not only going to see, okay, yeah, we live within a certain creation, but you're going to see when you even step out of this very thing, the creation itself, and you go back to the source in the beginning of all things, you will see that there are infinite amounts of different creations, all within the infinite beyond. And it never stops, because we, the soul, we never stop. The moment you find the end to the imagination, your imagination, then you found the end to creation itself. And there's no end to your imagination. There's no end to it. So we are able to experience, manifest, do whatever it is that we desire on the other side, and make our own universes to experience what it is that we want to do and love in our will. Yeah. This one, what I have seen, what I've directly experienced, is that this one is the only one of its kind where we get the separation as we do. So we get the separation, the illusion that we are separated from the source of all things itself, and therefore this is where you get the fear, loss, and suffering all attached to those things. Because the source of you is love, and it is just being all the time. And in that state of love, the pure authenticity of love, there is no fear, there is no loss, there is no regret, there is none of those things. But the moment you step through that illusion of separation from the source, then fear manifests within yourself. And the root of fear is loss. So you fear of losing something, like there's a loss of something. There's a loss in my body. I'm losing. There has to be a loss to something, but you never lose anything. Regret is, all there, all through this experience here. But once you're there, none of that exists. It's in a constant state of just being. It's one of my, I'm not going to call him students. He's just one of my individuals that have shared a testimony. His name's Stefano. And, he said something that actually puts it into words that I think is just amazing, because he's seen it through this out of body state. And he said, there's meaningful good in all things, because it's the source. It's the source of all things, the infinite of all things, just trying to know itself. in all of its beauty, in all of its creations. And that's what we are. We are the source, the void, just trying to know itself through creating. I realize too that time itself gives, you see, because on the other side, we don't experience time in the way that we experience time here. It's more of past, present, and future. It's like all of it's open to you, all happening all at once, and you could tap in and do whatever it is that you want. But I've identified that the illusion of time, that what we experience here is actually the contrast. Time itself manifests contrast from light to dark.
Right.
Yep.
There's a few things that you just said that I caught on to that I think are really important. So yeah, when you were describing how you have mapped out these, I think you said 12 realms, I believe. So in India, actually, there's a temple that's being made right now. It's one of the biggest temples, and they're actually trying to show all these different realms. And based on what people have seen, they're actually trying to build this temple that kind of shows what these realms looks like. So it's exactly what you're talking about. And also one other thing you mentioned was about how sometimes we see people on Earth who just feel like they're more godlike, and it's not really because they're special or they're different. It's just the fact that I like how Buddha said it, that when someone asked him, "Who are you?" and he just said, "I'm awake and you're sleeping." So it's just the fact that they have come to know what their true nature is, and they're awakened to that reality. And whereas we're in that illusion and we're sleeping and we don't know what our reality is. So that's really important. Yeah, thank you for describing that whole concept. That's our viewers actually dropped in a few questions, and this was one of them to get more details about this. Do you think it's possible, Darius, to access information when you're out of your body and then somehow utilize that when you come back onto Earth in your physical body? Or, for example, is it possible to access any information and then that comes true when you come back in your physical body on Earth? Have you ever heard of something like that?
Yes. Yes, I have. So and I've done it myself. So there's been, first I'll go into what you said before, the accessing information, yes? So I've accessed information, for instance, like time. And I've seen, like I said, time is not a linear thing. There's potentialities of time that you could access. And I've seen those things. And it's very bizarre when you see it because you end up seeing possibilities. And I've seen this personally for myself. And I basically would see an event taking place. I would confirm that event, say something. Sometimes I've even written a public post about certain things too that have happened as well. So you could leave your body, access time itself, see certain things or foresight, visions, prophetic visions, etc. And they, most of the time they are fulfilled too, based off the potential and how strong that time event is. I have personally targeted certain individuals that I work with, and they've confirmed this, and they've done it for themselves as well, where I would leave my body and actually go to them and see what they're doing in real time. I would literally see what they're doing in real time, and I'll call them up. Is this what you're doing? And they would say, yeah. So you could get information from the time itself. You could get information from real time events physically happening here. But not only that, to give you another example, the halls of Amenti. So the halls of Amenti, the pyramids, the tunnel systems that go deep down beneath the pyramids. You would have known years ago. I spoke about that publicly, and I've written posts about the tunnel systems underneath the pyramids themselves and how it leads to the halls of Amenti. And now when you look up what they do or what they've done is they use certain technology, the same technology that they use to map out the oceans, to basically see what's beneath the pyramids, and they basically showed tunnel systems. Exactly that which I was stating before. So that's also proof as well for some people of what you could see, and is it validated to you in this physical reality? And the answer is yes. Because underneath those pyramids are literally what I've described, which is the halls of Amente itself, which contains a lot of the original information, even some of the giant trees that were written about in the past that have been chopped down. Some of the seeds are still beneath those pyramids, So in bringing information from the other side, so outside of this physical reality, but from home itself, bringing information from there into the physical body. Can you do that? Yes, you can absolutely do that. The moment you realize that your mere belief in something gives it power, the moment you really realize that your belief, your soul, your will is literally the authority, then you could even start to program your body, the cells within your physical body. You could start to do this. You think about it this way. Stress, anxiety, fear is literally the opposite of love itself. It's the opposite of the source of who you actually are. And because when you experience these things, stress in and of itself will literally kill and destroy the physical body that you use. When you turn back or tune back into love itself, who you are, it does the opposite to the physical body. Scientifically, we have what is called immortal genes within this physical body. But yet, how do you turn these on? How do you start to program these things or even activate the dormant cells within your physical body that they call junk DNA? And the only way to do it is return back to the source and the home of all things, and realize that and bring that through to this physical body. Majority of the time, I don't eat. I just came off a 3-day fast, and I do that regularly. But yet, with the amount of food that I eat, which is very, very little, very, 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 very little, once a day, and sometimes I'll fast 4 or 5 times in a day or whatever, I should be extremely ill. And this isn't medical advice, but I should be extremely ill. I should be sick. I should be withering away. But yet here I am. So when you believe something, it dictates the very cells in the physical body that you inhabit right now. A great person that shared a testimony, witness account here, is even, his name is David Ebel. He had a heart issue. He basically had surgery on his heart. He realized who he was with the soul, and the heart started to heal itself. And I've documented this. I've shared it as a testimony, witness account, so people could see that the will of your soul could even influence the very body. If you believe it enough, it can be done. And I say this and I say these things, but then people may go into a state, well, yeah, I believe what you're saying is true, but it goes further than just belief. I'm using the word belief because it's a word that people will understand what I'm saying, but it goes further past belief, because belief in and of itself is a place of not knowing something. And you have to step into a place of absolute knowing with 100% certainty for it to be done, and therefore it will be done. This is why the placebo effect was studied and confirmed, that when somebody truly believes in something within themselves, or if they're sick or what have you, and they believe that they've been given the magic pill, even though it's a fake pill, their belief is so strong, and the knowing and the trust in something external from themselves is so strong that it actually heals them, not realizing that it wasn't the external belief in something, but it was actually, the external belief in that very thing was so strong, but it was actually them that healed themselves. And if we could revert that inward by understanding who we are at the soul sense and realizing that we are the infinite, And everything bows to the infinite and love itself. The infinite, the being of all that is, even the I am bows to it. And if we could step into that in our life, then I believe making a public statement here would also know what I'm saying in the disclaimer, what have you. But the limitations placed on us, I believe, are only the limitations really that we allow ourselves to believe that exist. And I believe that if an individual could step out of all of the programs that we have been taught, that you cannot do this or not do that, that if we could step out of those things, that possibly, and I'm just putting the concept into people's minds, that possibly that we could literally be heaven's reflection here walking in the physical body.
Hmm. That that is very true. And I had personally studied being a science student, the placebo effect to a great extent. And like you said, in the placebo effect, that's an example of something that obviously the pill actually doesn't work, but it's your belief that's cured yourself. But in this case, your true nature is actually the truth. It is eternal truth. It's a reality. So imagine that having faith in that, which is in fact the truth, can obviously cure your mind, your body, and everything that you feel is currently suffering.
I'm sorry, but I just want to say this as it's fresh in my mind. Um, the This is why they've put such a, all right. Let's step into a little bit of religious wordings real quick, because I have no other way to articulate this besides using those wordings. So step out of any religious or whatever thing that you believe in for a moment, and just listen to what I'm saying and put it in context of whatever wordings fit best for you. This is why we have this soul, body, spirit. Like I said, when I said this before, but when you understand the soul, who we are, then that's the truth of all things. Love is truth, and truth is love, and there's no way around that. Once you understand love, you understand all truth of all things. Yeah, and that's your soul. Now, they have basically through just our beliefs, which is making us believe in putting our beliefs in thought forms. Now, we have the physical body and the spirit is within the physical body. Same with the soul. But they have manifested, you could say, negative spirits within the physical body, or what they call demon spirits within the physical body. And those demonish spirits are, you could say, our belief in fear itself, which really thought forms. When you leave your body, you will see that your thought forms are not actually, or your thought forms are physical manifestations. So they're not just, they don't just wither away. That your thought forms are actually real physical manifestations that you cannot perceive within the physical body. But once you leave the physical body, you will see the very thought form of that which you've been thinking. And so when you have negative beliefs in yourself, negative self-sabotaging beliefs in yourself, you are self-manifesting a thought form, a negative spirit within you that basically you could say takes hold of your physical experience, because you give it so much energy. But the very thought form, the very spirit of that negative thing that you've been thinking has no power over the soul itself. It's like money. It's like currency, the artificial mean of currency. They use currency to try to make a artificial means of the 0 point, which is your soul, which is not true. But we have belief in money itself, currency, and so this is why it has so much power and influence over everybody's life. But the moment you then realize, wait a second, the money doesn't hold any value, or if you change that perception to, like, let's just say, cryptocurrency or gold and silver or what have you, then automatically the belief in the piece of paper holds no power over you at all. And the same thing is with these thought forms. Negative spirits, which are thought forms, they only hold power and influence over us because we give it our belief to be so. You know, and if we could just disconnect from all that, you'll see that you return to everything that is all things good, pretty much. All things good.
Thank you for that explanation. That was really important, and for continuing that conversation from the last question. As we near the end of this episode, I know we've talked a lot about OBEs, but I want to know that when the physical death of this body happens, what exactly happens during the first, let's say, 10 or 20 seconds? Is it the same process as an OBE, or is there something else to it?
It's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing. Um, I've had individuals that have had a near death experience that have actually were proven to be or they're clinically dead, and they separated out of their body. They saw their physical body, and they had a controlled state, an out of body state, and it's the same thing. That this has been confirmed. You know, so there's no different from the death process to the out of body. The thing is, once the soul leaves, the soul leaves. Whether if that's through death or the controlled state, the soul is still leaving. You are accessing the same things, and you could see the same things. You know, you do not need to die to access the truth of yourself or access the other side. And when you return to the other side, you'll see everything that you're actually looking for is in a home is love. You know, but there's no difference at all. There's no difference. You could, with a disclaimer, I'm not promoting any form of suicide within people, but if you choose to leave in the out of body state, then you leave. You have the same capacity as that which when you die. When the soul is leaving the body, it's leaving the body. In what you choose to access, what you choose to bring into this physical body, you know, is the same as it's the same thing, without repeating it too much, but it is the same thing.
Yeah, and I was about to close, but something just came up. So when we have an outer body experience, we come back, obviously, but does that individual have an option to not come back and stay where they are, or is that not possible at all?
Yes, yes, you do. Everybody has the choice to stay here or leave, even out of body near death as well. Everybody has that choice, you know. And for me to say that you do not have that choice, or for anybody to say otherwise, would basically you would be saying to yourself, you're not the infinite, and you don't have power. Yeah, you have the choice to do whatever it is. But I will say this, you know, the regrettable is the unforgettable. That's not necessarily judgment, but the regrettable is the unforgettable. You know, so yeah.
So do you think the reason we come back from that state is because, like you mentioned a little bit earlier, that the infinite wants to experience whatever it's experiencing in this physical realm through their body-mind complex in order to know itself? And then, so we come back here for those experiences in a way?
Well, I could tell you based off the things that I've seen. And what I'm about to say may come across as, well, how do you know this? You think you know it all, but give me a second to articulate it and go in this full direction, so it gives you the greater picture. The people desire to come back here because, in essence, this place is coming to its completion. Now, this isn't fear. I'm not trying to hope harvest anything or anything like that. But when you go back into history, you'll see that we have come to certain points within history where things have reached a completion. And this is where you get the lost civilization of Atlantis, or let's just say the lost civilization of the Egyptians and the pyramids, etc. Where do they all go? So what I'm saying isn't just like a mystical thing of yes, it's going to, but this has happened in the past. You see, we are in a state what people call ascension. Yeah, where more people are waking up to their divinity of who they are, and even the other side has said enough of this. And how do I know that? How do I know that even the other side itself has said enough and that this comes to a completion? Because everybody here is saying enough. And because everybody here is saying enough, they are the source of all things. They are the infinite. They are the very ones that give light and life to everything. When they say enough, they are the very other side saying enough. And so therefore it has no choice to be enough and done. You know, so people come back to show love from the other side and to help other people. That's it. That's it. Because you know what we're returning back to, in what this place, this very creation that we're in, the foundation of things, is will turn into heaven's reflection. It quite literally will. You know, and I don't have any way to articulate articulate this any better, but once we realize who we are, all of us realize who we are, and we become the very that reflected here, then all of everything within this place, all of the cells, the electromagnetic field of this entire environment changes. And it changes because we influence electromagnetic fields all the time. But the more we bring in from home into this body, we literally it's a great revealing of that which has always been present in here, but seen and visible to everybody. More of that light spectrum opens up to everybody. You know. So yeah, I hope that answers the questions and gives clarity.
Yeah, that did. Thank you so, so much for sharing everything you did with me in this conversation, Darius. It's always such a delight to be able to speak to you. And at least from my side, and I'm sure obviously the viewers feel the same way, I just want to express my gratitude for the work you're doing because it is helping people awaken to their true nature. And I know that that is such a big gift because whatever I've experienced or known so far, it has liberated me from that fear and suffering. So you're doing that for so many people. And I really appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. And everything that you're doing too.
In your understanding of the cosmic architecture, why was this realm created in the first place? And I'm curious that if we choose our bodies before incarnation, what was the purpose behind choosing our specific life circumstances?
From what I've seen, this particular creation was created to experience that which we are not. Now, when you hear me state that before, it wasn't necessarily to experience that which we are not in the most extreme ways that we experience right now. Okay, because everybody was it was supposed to be a gradual forgetting process to return back to truth in your home of who you are at some point, you know, and you could say within the creation of that has had unforeseen events to take place as well. Now, do we choose to come in or pre-plan certain things? Yes, not 100% verbatim everything, but there are preset markers that you set. Let's just say, for instance, getting in a relationship or meeting someone, et cetera, et cetera. You know, there are sometimes a lot of preset events within people's lives, and this is why you will even hear children sometimes say to their parents, "Oh, I chose you this time." Yeah, and so you'll hear that a lot within certain kids. Now, when it comes to the physical body, you'll hear a lot of things. It's funny because a lot of the things that I talk about, I promise you, I'm not religious. I haven't even read I can't even read the Bible or anything, but I'm not, but it comes, a lot of the things that I say are just like, I'm like, okay, well, there you go. But when you look at how they say that we are created in the image of God, okay, I want you to flip that. So let's just say, who is the Father? So what's considered the Father? The Father is considered the God source of things, and therefore
Yeah.
we are created in the image of God. But the Father is actually the soul, which is you, which is every single person is the Father, is the soul, and the source of all things, which is God itself. You could say it's the father and the mother of all things, which is you. Now, I have noticed that certain individuals tend to come in with a particular, all through different lives or even how their soul looks. There's a certain template that is sort of repeated. And this is why you'll even have people that have died and they come back. You'll hear stories where they have a scar or something. And, when they look back into that life review, it's because they were murdered in a certain way and it's presented in the physical body. I have personally noticed that even with myself, I remember looking into certain things, past things within myself, or even other people validating that with me, that they hold there's a similar look of how their soul looks and how they've looked throughout lifetimes. And that's because we are created in the image of the soul, which is you. And when you return to the other side, just like you like to wear certain clothes or you have your style, so does the soul. It has the style of what it likes to be, and it's picked that template. Now that template's not forever or can never be changed, but it seems to be pretty consistent based off what I've seen, So, hope that answers that.
No, that does, and it really, thank you so much for that explanation. I'm sure it's something that a lot of the viewers were curious about. Darius, I also wanted to ask you, and this is something I'm also curious about. Well, I've always thought about this, but never had a chance to ask anybody. During an OBE, can you shift into a parallel version of your own life or a different timeline? And if so, how would you know which one is your home reality?
Okay. It's not necessarily which one was your home reality. So the question that you're really asking is, or the answer to it is, can we, when we come out of our body, see parallel realities, parallel time events? Now, parallel realities are, yes, they're potential time events in that way. And so can we tap into that and see that 100%? So I've seen things within myself, actions that I would do, or let's just say, for instance, there was, I remember doing a interview. This would have to be a year ago. And I was showing myself coming out of my body, how that would unfold and certain things not to say and etc. And so that in essence is a parallel or potentiality, and we have access to all these things. So it's not necessarily like you'll jump into one when you're out of your body and never get lost, but you could see all these potentials playing out because you have the access to the infinite of possibilities, and also the past as well, and the things that you've experienced in the past. So yeah, you can do those things, but you'll never get lost in them. It's just opening up more of the consciousness in your awareness to see all the things that we can't see physically, and that is also accessing all of those potentials as well. Yep.
Wow. So you can see the different realities and the parallel universes, but you can't actually tap into it in terms of like actually living through that if you wanted to or something like that. That's not possible.
Um, You can do it through. I've I've experienced it for myself. And again, I don't like to do a lot of theorizing, and so I'm always trying to go back to what I experienced is when I experienced myself, I was able to relive certain events. Yes. So can you tap into it in a way where you're living it? Yeah, yeah, you can. But from my direct experience, it seems like it's when you tap into a past event, you could step into that fully as if like feel everything type of deal in that way. Now, can you tap into a future event possibility of time and live it in that way? Yes, you can. But there's still there's a slight difference, like it feels less physical. That's the only way I could describe it. So to answer your question, it's a yes, but it's different in the way that it's felt. And this actually even leads into a whole other statement and answer that you may have not even a question that you haven't even asked it, but here's an answer to it. Is I've identified what potentialities of time. I've identified this. When you're accessing a certain potential, you know when that potential is almost solidified and going to happen, because once you step into that potentiality of time, it feels more solid and more physical, like this physical reality. As when you're tapping into certain potentialities that aren't so solidified, they seem almost like a dream and mystical and less physical and less tangible. And so this is how I've been able to, for myself, even when I'm trying to do these things, see, okay, yeah, that's a very, very high possibility in the 80%, if not 100%, because once I've experienced it, it was so physical and tangible to me. I just knew that that was almost the immediate event to occur. Now, I'm not sure if everything that I said actually makes sense, but I'm trying to make sense of it all and put it into a big picture that people could see. Okay.
No, no, it really does make sense. Thank you for clarifying that and creating this picture. It helps me understand in a much better way. Darius, I've heard you say that humans are programmed to forget who they are. Why is this so, and who or what made us forget our true nature in the first place?
Um, us, us men. Yeah, yeah. It's always been we agreed to have an experience of a temporary forgetfulness. It was always us, you know. That may not be the answer that people want to hear. People want to hear like who are the they, but I won't necessarily get into that on this particular platform. Just for the purpose of so people know, because I respect your platform enough not to want to get it banned. You see. So I won't go into that detail, but the who made us forget the simplest way to understand it was us that has done it. Um, that's the answer to that.
Thank you for that. Um, this is definitely another question that I've personally asked a lot of times, and I'd love to ask you this, Darius. Do you think that suffering is meaningful at the soul level, or is it purely an artifact of forgetting who we are? And how would you explain the existence of evil, violent acts, war, or injustice? Are these glitches, challenges designed for growth, or something else entirely built into the structure of this physical realm?
Suffering comes from suffering comes from the stepping away from love. So the moment you step into here, okay, here we go with the religious stuff again, but it couldn't be any further from the truth. But the moment you come in here, you are sort of tagged in that way through the physical body. They call it you're born in sin or whatever. But then this has been so distorted where it's like, well, you are not the very source of all things, and that's the distortion, you see. But the moment you are born into this physical reality, you could say you are born into a illusion through only the physical body of imprisonment, suffering, etc. And all of these things are born only through the physical aspect, you see. Because once you're on the other side, and or not even in the other side, once you're out of your body, all of a sudden that's not there. You know, you break past all those things in a sense. So the moment you are born into the body, you are born and you are tagged into sin itself, what they say, which is the suffering, because you're born into that. And because you're never disconnected, but the illusion of disconnection is there. So you have, I'll explain it this way as well. You have two sides. Let's just say the light over here and the dark over here. So the love, freedom, and then you have dark and evil. Now love is what you are. Being is what you are. The infinite is what you are. And in love, what is the source of love? When you go to the source, you try to go to the source. What is love? So it's a definition of, and what is this definition? And everybody has this idea of what love is. Love is joy. Okay, well that's an aspect of a joy, an aspect of love, but it's not it. And then people say love is loving other people. Yeah, that's a let's just call it a tentacle of love, but it's actually not it. So where is love born from? Where is the source? If you could give it one word, and that one word is freedom. Because in freedom, what is born is you are authentically yourself and just being yourself and free to do in love. And so in what's born from freedom itself is love, joy, being, expression, all of these things that we experience. And courage is a tentacle of love. Yes. Then when you go into what is through the physical body, you see, because that's your home, and then you come into this place, you could say through the veil, and the veil is the physical body, and then your soul is inside the physical body, which gives you only through the physical body the illusions of basically what you are not, in a sense, through, well, this physical body can be harmed. You could have and you could be imprisoned physically. And so in evil itself and fear itself is born from one thing and one thing alone, and that's loss. And so from loss of, you have all of these tentacles from loss, fear, loss, and suffering, pain, the judgment even comes from loss itself too. So that's experienced here to its fullest. Because the moment you see yourself, you're home again, you return to all things that are good, all things that are free, and nothing of control, nothing of deceit, nothing of lies. That's done here, but not there. So when you come into that veil, this is what happens. But you could shatter that veil. You could shatter the veil of forgetfulness. You could shatter the veil of all of these things by just remembering who you are. And then when you remember who you are, that comes fully and more into this physical body. And it breaks down the mind, mental gymnastics, the constructs of the mind. And you start operating based off of just being what you are, which is love itself.
Wow.
I know that's a big way of explaining something, but I hope that makes sense.
No, it is a big way, but at the same time, you've explained it in a very clear manner. So thank you for that. Because yeah, you're right. A lot of people, like you said, that they label love as, oh, it's a joy or it's happiness, but that's just little aspects of it. It's not, or emotions or actions that happen because of who you are, because you are that love, and that is your being. But we kind of labelize it in a way and kind of limit our understanding of it. But thank you so much for explaining it in that way that you did. This is another question that a lot of our viewers
I just want to say this too. I just
Yeah.
want to, if you don't mind, I just want
Yeah,
to say this
please.
too. And I've said this before, I believe in here, but I want to bring it up again, is how important being something is. The very act of trying is not being it. Trying is resistance and it's friction. Anytime you have resistance and friction, it's because it's in a static state, and it's not. You're not that. You being yourself is never a static or resistant state. It's always just free. And the moment that you shed this body and you leave it and you realize who you are, the overwhelming freedom comes from there's no more static. There's no more resistance. I don't have to pretend to be this or that or based off what people may judge me as. I could just be myself in my soul, my divinity, because it gets rid of all that static, all that trying. So any act of trying to be something is actually you being it not. Yeah, that's important because love doesn't try. It's just a constant. It's a constant thing. Love is there because it never stopped loving to begin with. It's it never stopped loving. Okay.
Yeah. So beautifully explained. Thank you so much for that. No, it is. Yeah, no, love. As soon as you're right, as soon as you try, you're creating that friction, and it's not the being anymore. It's not what you truly are. You're trying, and then you're creating that friction. So, no, that really does make sense. It's definitely given me some clarity. So thank you for that. Yeah, and I was asking, this is another question that's very popular amongst our viewers. Would you say that this physical reality, Earth, is a construct, simulation, or some type of training environment?
Mm-hmm. All right. So simulation. Is it a simulation? No, not in the way that people would say simulation. Not the way when you ask that question, I know where people's minds are in terms of simulation. And so not in the way that they're thinking, it's a no. But is it a simulation? Yes. But if you detach from the way that it's not real in that sense, because it still is real. It is an illusion. But look at it this way, because this is a question that you get that comes from purely the mind and the thinking type of mentality. Everything from the very beginning outside of all of these things. So you go back to the source of you and you are just in let's just say the void, the place where there is all possibility. Everything is available to you, and it's manifested like that. As soon as you think about it, it is presented to you because you are that source and all of those things. So anytime you have a thought in that state, understand this. When you have a thought, you have an imagination. So when you have an imagination, you birth light into creation. And that very birthing of light into creation puts it into a confinement of the very thought and imagination that you had. What you could say is a matrix or a prison in and of itself, because not that you are defined by that imagination, that creation of light, but you are even outside of all thought itself and all prisms of light itself, because you are the one that even makes those things to begin with. So every single thing that you imagine that you will create on the other side, all is a bending of prisms of light for you to enter a certain matrix, for your soul to enter something, because even in the imagination of something is already a limitation. Do you see? So if I imagine a thought form of something, I put borders, boundaries, and limitations through that prism of light, through that imagination. I define the imagination. And when you define something through thought and through your imagination, you actually give it the borders. And you are not confined within the thought itself. You are outside of it. You are the one making those things, not of it itself. So every single thing that you ever experience, even here, we are in a confinement of a thought. All of this was manifested from a thought of a soul. And now we're in it, and yet we think that we're bound to it, or somehow not able to exit it, or this is a matrix and we're looped and we're stuck. But you are even outside of all thoughts, imaginations, and prisms of light itself. You create it all. Everything from the very thought is a matrix. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. So we're creating our own, in a way, matrix. Like you're kind of saying that our own thoughts, our own imagination, that is limiting ourselves in a way.
Well, it's not a limit. It's not. But the limit only, the limit is only true when you think that you are bound by the very thought that you had. Then there you go. That's the limit. You see, because you are outside of thought itself. You are the one that even makes thought possible. So if you make something possible, that doesn't mean that you are it itself, that you are outside of those things making those things. But you become imprisoned when you put yourself in the form of that thought is me, and therefore I don't exist beyond that creation or that construct. Then you become imprisoned and limited. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for explaining that. That was really, really helpful. I'm sure that the audience will really resonate with that explanation as well. And previously, you were talking about negative forces. I would love to dive a little bit deeper into that, just ask a question regarding that. Do you think that deceptive or negative forces also exist in other realms? And how does one discern truth from illusion?
Um. hmm. Free will would be free. So, you have, everybody has the freedom to do something. But the thing is, once you step beyond and you know yourself, that first and foremost, that's all right. Deception, deception only exists because let's just I'm going to use words so people can understand. Deception only exists because the consciousness that we operate in is so low that deception is manifested that way because we are not tapping into the source of ourself. Because the moment you step into higher states of consciousness or the source of who you are, then you'll realize that nothing could ever be hidden from you. There's not one thing that could ever be hidden from you once you step into who you are, the truth of things. Deception is only exists because we have, again, through the thought, us thinking that we are limited to a certain aspect and that we can't access all things. And well, therefore, yeah, deception is going to be always in front of you. But when you realize your true state, there's nothing deceptive that could ever happen because for instance, when you are around somebody, you're speaking to somebody in physical life, you have worked on yourself. You know yourself. You're very sensitive. You're intuitive. You know when someone's lying, even though they're saying that they're not lying to you. Because the more that you step into your heart, then you realize, okay, well, if love is truth and truth is love, well, that means, okay, anything that is not authentic is actually not truth because they're stepping out of love. The moment you step out of your authenticity, you start stepping out of love, which is, part of love itself. And so when you understand, like I said, love itself, that truth, then people that are in that high state of love back to themselves, when you come face to face with somebody that is not authentically being themselves truly, then yeah, you could see it because there's no deception or lies. Even though they may be lying straight to your face, you could see past it. Because authenticity, love, is not thought. It cannot be articulated in a logical sense, but it's something that is felt. Authenticity and love is felt, and there's nothing that could ever come between that. No amount of deception could come between that. And so, yeah, that's the answer. That's the answer to that.
Thank you so much for sharing. That was very, very clear, and I'm sure that the audience will resonate with that as well. Darius, I wanted to ask, it's a very specific question, but in the non-physical dimensions, is it at all possible to encounter entities or human-like forms that seem conscious but are not actual souls? like such as constructs, programs, or something else?
Um, yes, yes. But yes, in this way. So, is it possible to see unconscious things, not in the way that what people may think when I answer yes or I say yes to this, but in this way? Okay, so we know that we have an electromagnetic field. So when I think of something physically here in my mind right now, I'm thinking of something. I'm thinking of a clown in front of me, for instance. I know it's weird. I'm just going to think of a clown. So right now, you can't see that clown. You can't visually see my thought form. But the moment you come out of the body, if you were in this space and you came out of your body or you were clinically dead, you would actually see myself sitting here physically, but you will also see my thought form, the clown, where I'm projecting it. So you could say the clown itself, whatever I'm projecting in my thought form, isn't a fully conscious entity of itself, but it still is real. And what you could do is when you see my thought form, because it's attached to my energetic signature, because it comes from me, you could trace that thought form back to the source itself, which is me. So everything is traced and everything's connected in that way. So it's a yes, but not in the way that people think.
Wow. Yeah, no, that really makes sense. So in a way, you're saying that when you're out of your body, when what you're identifying as the constructs that aren't actual souls are, like, for example, your own thoughts, that if you're out of body, if you're having an OBE experience, that you can see someone else's thoughts manifested in that realm in a way.
Yes, 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 you can. You could see thought forms. Um, but but a thought form is still real, because this is what I was saying before. The reason why there's light in everything, even why the very sun itself that we look at as shining, is because of us. Because the moment we think of something, we don't realize how powerful we are. But when you see this out of your body, you realize, oh my God, I am literally that powerful. But the thought forms itself, you could even give life to thought itself. And you could say, playing in different creations, you could say you could create something based off your thought forms and play with yourself in that way. It's still very real, but it's not in terms of not real in the way that people think. How I answer that question, it's a yes. Everything is still real. All of it is always real. And then this goes into some questions that people will have. Well, how could I tell? And they ask these things. So, like, well, how could I tell base reality from imagination? Because imagination is not real. So, I want tangible, this physical reality. And I say this to them. Is imagination not real? Is it not part of you? You see, we are so confined by this 1% of this light spectrum that we think if it cannot be physically verified in the physical form, that therefore it's not real. But the very imagination is part of who you are. It's real. Everything that exists comes from the very imagination. First, you imagine something. This very notepad that I have came from somebody imagining it. They had a thought and imagination, and therefore they created it to be so in this physical reality. Imagination itself is no different from you itself or this physical reality. It's all real. Everything's real, and it's beyond the physical senses that we have. Is everything real and true? Yeah.
Wow, thank you for sharing. Just one question. You mentioned imagination. So would that mean that even like our dreams, are those real as well? Because sometimes the dreams, and I'm sure people relate to this, sometimes the dreams we have, we don't think that, oh, like, it's just crazy. Like, it's like sometimes we don't believe that, oh, what we're thinking that this can be true in any way, it just seems like gibberish. But when you say that there's some truth, that there's truth to that as well.
Yeah. Yes. All of it is real, even your dreams itself. You see, there's so much more to you than you could possibly imagine. That when I talk about home, the infinite would be, the infinite is literally all things good. It's all things in love. It's everything of all possibilities exist. There's not one limit placed on you. Even your dreams themselves are real. They are typically, dreams are typically physical manifestations of your thoughts, your desires, your subconscious things. And sometimes these manifest into dimensional spaces. You could say pockets of a pocket within the very universe itself. You know, it's you actually making a universe within a universe itself. You see, and that's what we are. Within this physical body, we have the ability to even create a multi-dimensional universe here, bridge of light here. We have this ability. You see? For that not to be true, well, then why is it that you could literally program the water within you and the cells within you? We bridge these things. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. I wanted to ask another question that came in from our audience. Do animals also have astral bodies and navigate the same non-physical layers we do as humans?
Yes. Yes. Animals have a soul. Yes. They all leave as well. Every single night we are all leaving. It's just where is the consciousness? How focused are you? Where is that consciousness? We the soul doesn't sleep. So when we fall asleep, you know, it's the soul isn't just in the body falling asleep and it becomes unconscious. You are always conscious. This is why you have dreams and you have or you're leaving your body and you have these visions. You are always doing something. There's no such thing as sleep on the other side. Your soul never sleeps. Everything, even the animals themselves, have a soul. Every being in all of creation has a soul. Even the very ant to the insect, all of it has a soul. All of it's alive. Everything's alive.
Yeah, thank you so much for clarifying that. Darius, according to you, what is the biggest risk or trap people encounter when they first begin exploring non-physical states and OBEs?
The biggest trap that they encounter is themselves. Their self-imposed belief systems of that something could entrap and imprison their soul. And that's not true. That is the greatest trap in doing this. Because the moment that you really believe that you can be entrapped or confined, like you'll manifest that to be so. Not forever, but you will make all of these fear-based things manifested in your space. That's the biggest trap. Full stop. The biggest trap.
Thank you so much for the sharing that. Lastly, Darius, to bring this episode to a close, I wanted to ask you, do you think that the Earth is approaching the end of a major cycle? And what will that mean for the whole of humanity?
Yes, man. Yes, it's reaching a conclusion, a completion. Absolutely. You know, when you go back, as I've stated in some of the stuff that I've talked about, you go back into past civilizations. There has been completions of before. A realization, a great awakening, ascension, enlightenment, all these different words to say the same thing. And yes, it's coming to that, man. It's actually already here. I mean, think about the stuff that I'm talking about. Think about the stuff that I'm literally, and it's not just me. It's okay. I'm saying this to you, but think about all the people that have experienced that as well. So it's already here. It's in the process of that. Yeah, because it's people remembering themselves, their home, the truth of that. And once that is remembered, there is not one thing of control that would ever exist. You see, the thing is, the reason why there's so much control here is because people are still acting in control of greed, fear, attachments, loss, and therefore, this is why we have systems of control. But the moment you remember who you actually are, that doesn't exist. There is no, once you step into love, then those systems of control just cannot exist. And you step into your true divinity. There is so much more possible with this physical body than what people have been programmed to believe. That, if you could just start doing it at a very small scale, you'll see what they call miracles is possible within the physical body. Mm. Yep.
Wow. Thank you so much for having this conversation with me today, Darius. It truly means a lot. I know that the audience really resonates with what you say, and so do I. So thank you so much for being here today with me. It really means a lot.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, man.